I think it's time. I see someone backstage. I think we're good to roll. Let me introduce the man himself, the undisputed champion of the world, Detroit Lions on SI, the best in the city, boys. John the Doc Maakaron has joined the show.
Fellas, why do we got to talk about crime?
He was expecting the horn.
Why do we got to talk about crime before the Doc comes in all the time? Detroit is on the rise. Crime in Macomb County, Wayne County's down. Everybody's happier, but it's crazy because I thought it was going to be a nice, relaxing chat about the Lions, but my goodness, some news broke. Lots to talk about. Truly, there is no offseason in the NFL. And then some news broke too today, which is devastating for the Tigers. So lots always to talk about. Fellas, hopefully you guys got a lot of energy too, because I'm ready to go. What do we got?
Doc, you know what? You look good today, Doc. It looks like you're pumped up, ready to go. What are you drinking over there? Are we allowed to ask you that?
Yeah, you can ask, guys. You guys know me. You can ask me whatever you want. Just a regular water, sparkling ice, cherry limeade. Yeah, I'm getting tanned. I'm outside. It seems like the other beat writers are taking it a little bit more easy than I am. I'm a workaholic. I like working. So the schedule slows down for most beat writers. But for me, I look at it like we're going to do features at Lions on SI. We're starting the all grit team, the all 21st century team, like the other sites are doing. And we're just having fun with it because I can't get away from it. I love Detroit sports, but the schedule slows down quite a bit. But man, I'm enjoying golf, the pool, and a mix of covering the Detroit Lions and doing interviews, man. So it's a good time for the Doc. It's the kind of schedule I like. This is the good time. And the chat, light it up, hit the likes, ask whatever you want. Let's have a good time with it.
All right, Doc, I'll start off with this. The biggest news probably since we saw you last, Zadarius Smith was at the BET Awards. And it was shocking to me because it's kind of been what's going on with Zadarius. And then he puts out in there and the article comes out that he says, I want to be in Detroit. I want to be here. And then the next day a video comes out. Hey, Zadarius, when are you going to sign? Basically, he just says soon. It's going to happen soon. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it gets done? I know me and you have been pretty lockstep on it that he's wait until training camp or even kind of through training camp to get it done because he doesn't want to have to deal with all of that. What are your thoughts on that whole situation over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, let's get to the important matter outside of football. Cash Doll looked great. That was a 10 outfit.
Boone, you see what I'm saying?
You don't have to listen to him, Doc. Don't listen to him. You're talking. You're saying the real things.
Zadarius was trying to get kisses galore. He was like, yeah, I definitely am enjoying it. I do think the next phase, I'm still young in my 40s. Maybe by next year, I'll be in good shape. I'm going to rock what Zadarius rocked. Braids and nice leather chaps. And I'm going to rock that look. I think I could rock it out there and walk the red carpet like Zadarius.
I mean this with all respect. Do you have the hair for braids?
Yeah. I could do something similar that would represent the culture. So I could do it all, baby. I can make it happen. I can make people make me look what I need to look like. And it could be bald. It could be a look that just shocks everybody.
I hope you know that. That would be a terrifying sight.
I could shave DOC on the side of my head. I could do a lot of different things. We'll see. I could do the Aiden Hutchinson do-rag look like the chat wants. I could do a lot of different looks to represent Detroit and with buffs, maybe I enter into that era of life. We'll see. But I would say this. I would not be focused on football if I'm Zadarius. I thought what I said on the Lone Wolves podcast was, you're Zadarius Smith. Get into hip hop, get into acting, get into that phase of life. She can open every door for you. Like he looked so comfortable with the attention, getting the kisses. He looked like Cash Doll's guy. And I was looking at it like, oh, that guy's not ready for football. But then right away, he does an interview. He's like, I want to come back to Detroit. And I loved hearing that. But I was like, man, that would indicate to me. And it's speculating, but clearly, I think when Brad Holmes left us, he said that he's been in contact with the agent. It probably indicates there's a deal ready. Like, hey, if you want this deal for this money, whether it be 1 year, 6 million, 2 years, whatever kind of money is out there for him, the Lions have said, this is what it is. Go out there, shop it, do what you got to do. Come back to us when you're ready. And Zadarius, I thought it was also great. You know, a fan walks right up to him, is like, hey, when you coming to Detroit? And it's been great just seeing Detroit represent all over the world at every event. You see Lions jerseys, you see the Old English D everywhere. And he's like, soon. Now, look, I think that was just more for, hey, I want to let this fan be happy. But I do think that the door's open. But again, like we've talked about, Zadarius has options. And for Zadarius, you don't want to take the first offer thrown by the Lions because there could be a bigger offer if a team like the Bills or Packers or Eagles or a team that's championship worthy like the Chiefs, if they suffer an injury in training camp, boom, the offer probably goes up by $1 million. So he's probably waiting for training camp. I don't think it's going to be soon. Why? Why would you come to training camp? I still don't see it. You got boats out there. You can party. You can travel the world. There's more vacations you can take. There's more events that he and Cash Doll can be a part of. I want to see them at Comerica Park cheering on the Detroit Tigers. And I just think that for him, I think there's a home here in Detroit. He fits naturally right in. But I would say this, pump the brakes on what impact he would have. I think he'd be a situational pass rusher. I do think he could get 5 to 8 sacks in spots where he can be a pass rusher in clear downs that favor the defense. But I think the Lions fan base is kind of showing out their desperation, knowing that they're clamoring for a guy that's 32, 33 that did not play all that great against the Commanders. So I love the aspiration of it. But guys, if he does sign, that does not put the Lions over the top in any way, shape, or form.
I'm going to ask you a question, Doc, that goes hand in hand with it that we discussed on the show. Boone ended up switching sides, I'm pretty sure, and it infuriated me. If you had to have one of the two, and this is a hypothetical, would you rather have Alex Anzalone on this team or Zadarius Smith on this team?
It's a great question. No, to me, it's clearly Alex Anzalone. You saw the clear numbers when he was out. That defense was terrible. Every metric that measured defensive productivity suffered when he was gone. They gave up more yards, more points. It was just a deal where you realize, okay, he's got he's a sure tackler, good in coverage, captain of the defense. I do think you can work around pressure. Guys, the Lions got a lot of pressures last year. They just weren't able to finish. If Coach Casey Rogers can unlock them finishing with Aiden Hutchinson, which is going to give this defensive line a boost, it's going to unlock a lot of things for Davenport if he stays healthy, Levi and Josh, and hopefully Tyleek Williams will clog the middle. DJ Reader, it'll unlock the defensive line if everybody stays healthy. So Alex Anzalone, I think, is key. That linebackers unit takes a big hit if he's not there. Do you guys really think Trevor Nowaski and yes. Waiting for Booner? That's a little bit. Look, good player, but a role player. He's not the caliber of Alex Anzalone is right now, and that's why I think Alex Anzalone is a valuable piece. He's a captain, and he'll be like you guys have probably surmised, he'll be signed. I don't think that there'll be an issue. It's just got to wait to see potentially how much Aiden takes or how much other contracts that need to be addressed to get looked at. But Anzalone, I don't think will be an unhappy member of the Detroit Lions roster.
Yeah, I did put a tweet out today, Doc, because I do believe it that I think, and I know you said you would see Zadarius potentially waiting until after training camp. I believe by day one of training camp, Alex Anzalone has an extension and they got a deal done, and Zadarius Smith has a 1-year deal done. And I think that by day one of training camp, both of those are done and you're ready to go with both of those guys on that defense, which I think makes that defense very good. Can I just ask you this then? Because my question kind of is to follow up that. And it was kind of it was within this argument of Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell, but I want to take it completely separate. Like, let's take Anzalone out. Do you think Jack Campbell, are you confident that he's kind of ready to take over that role? Because I do believe, and I said it, that I thought last year by most metrics, Jack Campbell was better than Alex Anzalone in most PFF grades. He was top 5 in a lot of grades, 4 linebackers with, that played full seasons. And it feels like it's about time that Jack is like, hey, that he is the lead linebacker now. Are you confident for him to take that role over if needed?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Jack Campbell, potential leader. That's why you drafted him. That's why some people believe that Alex Anzalone is a guy on his way out, because you did invest heavily in a linebacker. But let me gather my thoughts real fast here. Is it out of bounds to say real fast, is Jefe not here? Is it true that he's getting a big heart tattoo on his chest with his lady friend on it? I didn't think the rumors were true that he would go out there and get the tattoo of his significant other's whole face and hearts and everything. But some ladies want to stamp their guy. And I didn't think Jefe was somebody that would fall to that. But, when you're in love, you do wild stuff. So Jefe, I hope the rumors that were being texted to me are not true, that you guys were just pulling a rib on me. Don't do that. That's the kiss of death in any relationship. When you start getting those heart tattoos and putting their name all over your chest, you know what I mean?
He does actually have. He has a rash. It's a rash as well.
He's got the rash. Oh man,
he got a tattoo he got a Dan Campbell tattoo, little on the back of lower back.
Yeah, let Jefe know that don't get the tattoo. It's not recommended by the DOC. In regards to Jack Campbell, I look at it and what's that?
Is that from experience with the tattoos?
I have a tattoo, but I love mine. No, I love mine. It's country on my left arm. Got my initials and got the home country. Maybe next week or by the end of you know what? I'll do it by the end of summer. I'll come on the show in a tank top and rock the guns out.
Oh, we need that.
With the suns out, guns out, with the tan. I'll have the perfect tan.
And we might need that for training camp, Doc.
You know what? Maybe if the ratings go high, if you get 200-300 likes, I'll show up and do this in a wife beater, and we'll have a fun time with it, and we'll get real wild here on the stream. But with Jack Campbell, I love it. I love what he can do, dude. He's ferocious, man. The guy. What I love about him is you can talk to him man to man, direct. You can ask him tough questions. He knows how to deflect. I just always felt like he was like Chris Spielman, like he's our generation's Chris Spielman, like man of the people, super friendly, easy to talk to. Gives me the time of day whenever I ask him. I just feel like he's super professional. Like he's all business. Like I'm here to kick ass, take names, and go home and be about the hunting life and hanging out with family, which you got to respect as a linebacker. I think Jack Campbell, when the time comes and he's given more and more responsibility, he'll live up to the task and he'll be great. I do think he's getting better in coverage, getting better at recognizing the 2x2s, 3x3s, understanding the recognition to what he's got to look at from the offense. I think the game is slowing down for him. Now the question mark can be when everything's thrown at you and you're the defensive captain, what does it look like? And, for everybody, it's different, especially nowadays. The offenses are getting even more elaborate and more confusing for linebackers. And I just think it's just a nasty job when you're assigned to guard or when it's your job to be assigned to a running back or a tight end, because that's the first matchup quarterbacks look to is, hey, if there's a tight end on a linebacker, it's just going to be tough. But I can't wait to see him develop. I do think he finished the PFF top 10 linebacker last year. I expect him to take big strides. It's just a great all-around player that you expect to get better every single year. We'll never take it for granted. And he said it. He's like, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to be direct and get after it and become an integral part. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be great. You can't say enough good things. I do think that when the time comes now, his former position coach is the defensive coordinator. I just can't say enough good things about Jack Campbell. I'm excited to see, hopefully in the next couple of years, him develop into the leader that he's going to be.
Can I just follow it up? I made the statement. I think Jack Campbell will be, I can't remember if I said all pro or Pro Bowl this year. Do you think that's a possibility? All pro. Okay. Is that a possibility, do you think, Doc?
Yeah, you know what? There's always possibilities for Jack Campbell to get some of those awards, but he's low key. You know what I mean? He doesn't here's the thing. To start to get into those conversations, a lot of those times it's voted, right? And so writers, outside of Detroit, look, the writers in Detroit know what he's about, but he's not that like flashy linebacker. Like he's not going to flex on a guy if he nails him. You know what I mean? Maybe he starts to do a little bit of that self-promotion to get his name out there, do some of the bigger interviews. Meaning, pardon my takes, the bigger style of interviews to kind of get his personality out there. If he does that, man, the whole country will start to put him on those lists. But let's see him make plays. Let's see him make some impactful plays, some jarring the ball loose, some fumble recovery, some plays that are also more impactful. Not to say that he didn't, but the more you do it, the more now on the big stage this year with the games that they're playing, if he starts making plays, look out. He'll be on those lists.
Talk to me, Doc.
It's not out of the possibility. Not at all.
A lot of big stages, Doc.
Yeah.
Biggest stage, hopefully the Super Bowl. Got to go to week 1 first against the Green Bay Packers, who just released Jaire Alexander. What are your reaction to that? Because you could see that coming. But where do you think that Jaire, do you think he lands in the NFC? And what do you think that means if he lands on a team that's a contender? A lot of people are saying the Rams. Some people are saying the Eagles, which drives me crazy, or even the Bears. There's some chance that he lands in the NFC. What do you think it means for the Packers now that he's gone? And what do you think it means if he joins a potential contender?
Yeah, it just seemed like a bad ending, right? You've seen some of the clips of the way it went down. look, I do think he's got a swagger about him that maybe would rub some Lions fans the wrong way, thinking he's not a talent. But I do think competition is great. He would provide opportunities for a guy to come in that understood the defensive scheme of the Packers, could give some information to Terry and Arnold and DJ Reed. But
he's
I don't
going to
think
cost so much, Doc.
Exactly. I think the cost is just going to be north of $14 million. So it makes it tough. Like I said, I'm always of the opinion more. I love the idea in theory, but in practicality, I do think that, a couple places listed Jaire as a spot for the Lions, but mostly the favorites are the Dolphins, 49ers, Eagles. You look at it and you say, do the Lions really need another cornerback making north of $11 million when you got DJ Reed making 16? You're going to have to eventually look at Terry and Arnold if he blossoms. You want to get Ennis Rakestraw opportunities. So there is that opportunity that if you get him, it would kind of put a little stamp and an assessment on Ennis Rakestraw. And I do think that they believe that he can grow into that kind of role. So in my humble opinion, I don't think it happens. I would be surprised if the Lions landed Jaire Alexander. But if he comes, look, I'm of the opinion the Lions, tell me this. If you're a player and you walk into that room, you're not looking at Doc the first thing you walk into the building. You're looking at a 6'7", 300-pound, 275-pound tight end. You think you're going to disrespect the Detroit Lions locker room with Dan Campbell? He'll walk in there and take you out so fast that it's simple. The Lions have when people say, oh, the Lions don't bring in those guys, they brought in Cam Sutton, they brought in CJ Gardner-Johnson to do the swagger thing. They bring in guys that have talent. It's a talent business. And if the Lions feel his talent, which it's somewhat there, but unfortunately, that's why you say, well, maybe the Lions like him, is that maybe his market will end up being down and Brad Holmes will be like, hey, this is the Brad Holmes special. You're not going to get $15 million. You're going to get $6 million, and it's a prove it deal. And you take 1 year, because remember, CJ Gardner-Johnson got that same deal. Many people thought he was going to command a lot of money. He got less than $10 million from the Lions. So the Lions can handle guys in the locker room. You guys don't presume that a guy that talks or has an attitude would come in and destroy the Lions locker room. It wouldn't happen. It'd be cut out so fast, or he would mold into what the Lions are looking for. He's not. You think Kelvin Shepard? Okay, if Dan Campbell doesn't want that job, if the bad cop is Kelvin Shepard, you're going to front on Kelvin Shepard? Please, he'll dress you down so fast that your head will spin and you'll walk with your tail between your tail between your legs. So the Lions locker room is great. I do not feel anybody would come in and just tear it up. So spare me that kind of talk when people say, oh, he'd be a locker room cancer. No, he wouldn't. He would come in and compete and make plays, and he would. I think players like that would come in Detroit and shine. That's what you want to be able to say, is that this football team has a great locker room with great coaches that can handle anybody. The problem is within 2 practices, he'll be injured. So you don't want that. But that kind of seems like the players the Lions kind of have been targeting lately, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it has. I want to ask you this, Doc, because we had this segment here before you hopped on the show. I don't know if you were watching, but cut candidates going into training camp. I had said Colby Sorsdale, Broderick Martin are ones to keep an eye on. I did say, and to be fair, I did say surprise ones, which maybe they aren't surprised. More so just to you, Doc, what are some cut candidates for people to watch out for? And then on top of that, if there's a surprise one that you think might get cut, who would you say that is?
Yeah, no, it's good because
2-1 there.
Yeah, that's one of the series we're running, and we started it today. Where every year in the summertime, in June, July, it's always good because you think, oh, what are we going to write about? We have so much to write about that I think I'm already behind. I'm like, oh my gosh, podcast series. We're running the series now, Lions on SI, the roster bubble. We started with safeties. We'll take a position by position look at who's on the bubble. And we've already done, you can also check it out, Lions on SI. We did our 53-man roster projection before anybody else. And we think that you look at it and you say, probably Colby Sorsdal is on the watch list. Look, at this point in time, I do think that the 53-man roster, you can kind of surmise who is going to fit in those early top spots on the depth chart. But guys that you got to pay attention to is Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki. If he takes another role, does he kind of take over the job? You hope that he can compete for more opportunities that might make Craig Reynolds expendable. You look at the tight ends, maybe a Brock Wright is a guy that you pay attention to. I know he's a great blocker, but if you got competition there and you have opportunities to be affordable, you have opportunities to look at Zylstra or others that they bring in. There's competition there. You look at it and you say, I don't think it's a surprise. Broderick Martin is somebody on the chopping block. He's got to step it up. He's got to showcase, hey, he wasn't there we saw him in person, but he didn't do any team workouts. So you look at it and you say, all right, there's certain spots that you look at and you want to see some competition along the offensive line. Is it Coyote Awosika? Is his job in jeopardy with Miles Frazier in the loop? I do think too, and many beat writers are alluding to it, this might be a year a draft pick doesn't make the team. Typically they do, but maybe Dominic Lovett might be a surprise. Maybe he doesn't make the team. Dan Jackson, I think, is pretty much okay to make the team because of his special teams value. But if he doesn't have a great camp, there's no guaranteed job. There's one spot available. And Avonte Maddox looks like the real deal from what we saw in terms of his leadership and his presence out there. So there's one spot. If one of those safeties, if a Kennelly gets in there and handles business, that might make your draft pick a spot where, hey, Dan Jackson might be in jeopardy. So this is all about competition, and the Lions are not afraid to, hey, if a guy from the undrafted list starts to play well and makes plays in the preseason, they're not hesitant to make some noise. And this might be the year where a 6th or 7th round draft pick doesn't make the team.
And as the days go on, Doc, you brought up Vaki. Do you think that if he doesn't make a contribution this year, that we can start to view that as not a bust, but more as just like a wasted pick? Because I do think that he's a good player, but he's never just going to be able to get his spot because they're not going to put him at safety, it looks like. And you're never playing over Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. And I think that they would go in the draft and get somebody or in free agency if David Montgomery were to leave anytime soon, which I don't see happening. They just re-signed him. Right.
No, it's a good look at, NFL not for long. We do want players that contribute. I do think Vaki is a player that's going to take strides forward. Remember too, guys, that in the NFL, that first year, the way that people describe it and the way I've heard it described is like drinking from a fire hose. They don't sit around and go, here's step 1 of the offense. Here's chapter 2 of the offense. They don't do that. It's here's our offense. See you later. Go learn it. And you got to know it all by the time training camp starts. So it's like a fast moving train. And each day you make mistakes, they expect it. It's when you learn it. And Ben Johnson's offense was not simple. It has a lot of formations, variations, checks based on defensive looks and opportunities. So a rookie is not going to come in right away and just understand all of that, especially with the responsibilities that this coaching staff has on blocking. Like, you got to bulk up. You need to have that natural ability to recognize what's coming at you. So for Vaki, this is the year. And it's so true. Players make their biggest leap in year 2. So if he's got a chance to be impactful and make his biggest strides forward, it'll be this year. I can't wait to see it. I do think that he'll make some plays in the preseason. I think you'll start to see his physicality as a running back. I love the fact, I love what you guys say in the chats and the comments too. A lot of you guys want to see Vaki at safety. I know he's athletic and I know the depth is there, but the competition is pretty strong there. I think the uphill climb for him to be a defender at this point in time, having not done it, is, I think, too steep. He's a running back and he's got a chance to compete. And he's somebody that's shifty. You saw it last year. You saw some of the pieces there. And guess what? Working with Tashard Choice, he will get the best out of Vaki. If he doesn't show it, he'll be gone.
Hey, Doc, I kind of want to get your thoughts after the last OTAs, because I think we talked to you Wednesday, and I believe you were in Allen Park Thursday, and I know they didn't show much when it comes in regards to the depth because of players that were in and out and not practicing. But this whole line situation, I did see your guys' article. Again, I read your articles every day, Doc. I want it on record. And I read the one that Christian did. It was kind of the offensive depth chart. And we broke it down on the show, actually. The one thing that I was kind of shocked was how low Tate was on that depth chart for you guys. Is there a reason behind that Christian did that, or you guys kind of look at it in that sense? Or do you think that Tate, because it felt like the comments from Dan last week made it feel like a little bit more that Tate is going to be kind of that 1A at that spot if they feel comfortable, and Graham's going to be the guard, because he made the comment about if Graham is next to him, and that, to me, that set off an alarm. Did you have that same thought process, or was that just kind of something that we kind of took away from it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? Thank you. Yes, guys, I can confirm. Sources tell me Booner can read. He has a college graduate reading level.
Do you have a degree?
He has a degree. He can read. The issue is he gets so distracted by things he's not supposed to read online that he's got to clear his cache every 25 minutes so the employers and everybody doesn't see the stuff that he's looking at.
I don't think people know that I have a degree, actually. That might be breaking news on our show. I do have a college degree. Yes, I'm the only one in our company that has a college degree, and it's a business degree.
A business degree? What was your GPA, Boone?
It was actually pretty good. The beginning was rough, and high school was not good, and so the beginning of college was rough. By the time I got done, my last couple of years, I was probably above a 3-point. I made the dean's list a few times towards the end.
Come on.
Listen, I'm a scholar here, man. I like to learn, business, account, everything, man. There's a lot to it. And I did a lot of sports stuff, too. I did a minor in coaching, and there's a lot of different things.
Wow, good. No, listen.
5 years of school over here.
Shout out to education. Now, Boone, I think the statute of limitations has passed. You can freely admit. Did you use any of those services to pay for your grades? Did you pay for any of the very, very super bright people that you can find online to write your papers or sit in?
That might have been before Boone's time, to be honest, Doc.
I have
no
comment. No comment.
Oh, okay. Now,
I read a lot and I studied a lot. I was in the library a lot. I'll say that.
Okay, good. Now, and you can be honest too. Would you have been tempted with ChatGPT and AI? Would you have used it to kind of maybe start a paper that way?
For sure, man. 100%.
Exactly. Be honest. That's right.
There was no ChatGPT or AI or nothing when I was in there. It was just
I didn't say there was.
Study.
No, I didn't say there was, but the interesting
for sure would have used it.
The interesting aspect now with AI and how people can use it, it's crazy what's about to happen with everything going on. It's just wild what's going on. And I'm glad you read it. And I'm glad you read the depth chart. We also did a defensive one too. We did the 53-man roster, the depth chart from what we saw. And here's the thing. And I also too, which is interesting. Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I actually do like reporting, going out to the city. I went downtown yesterday and got a chance to talk to TJ Lang. He's part of the big three. And it was great to talk to him. Like he knew who I was. And I was like, hey, I got to talk to you. You know what I'm going to talk to you about. And he answered the questions. Honestly, you can hear the exact interview on Lions on SI. I posted it today, what he's told me about the big three. And I asked him about Frank Ragnow. And he said, look, and I think the current thinking is you need to run a proficient training camp. You got to get in there and handle it. And I think early on, coaches probably are going to be more comfortable with Graham Glasgow. He's a veteran. He's done it before. He's seen so many different things. Look, Tate Ratledge is a great rookie. I think he has a chance to be the starting right guard, but there's a lot thrown at you. And I do think that there's opportunities for others as well to compete that have a little bit more experience. It's a tough situation. Something that TJ Lang told me that I did not think about is, which also favors Tate Ratledge, is that the center does not have to make all the calls. Lang told me, he said, listen, you can kind of spread that out among the guards, or he said Penei Sewell can make some calls. So he feels like the decision's got to be made early in camp, first week. And he thinks that maybe the short-term solution is short-term for Graham Glasgow being center. But you look at it as well, Tate Ratledge is a young player. It's a difficult situation with these super talented defensive linemen that you're going to face all across the league, and you got to compete with Miles Frazier. There's no guaranteed job. So if Tate Ratledge is going to earn the job, he's got to do it right away in camp. And it's just at center is going to be tough. Probably more likely at right guard, has a chance to be a starter and contribute. That's his natural position. But at the same token, entering into a training camp, I think Christian likes to kind of put people a little bit lower down and have other competition as well, because more veterans are out there with Awul Sika, Dan Skipper out there as well that got a little bit more experience. But listen, within 2-3 practices, Tate Ratledge, this period of time is still learning for him. He can get out there, and just because we put that now doesn't mean that he won't quickly have a chance. He could even be the starting center. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but coaches are comfortable putting guys in that they trust. So to me, I always looked at it like, I think my early starting offensive line would be Taylor Decker, Christian Mahogany, the left guard, Graham Glasgow, the center, Tate Ratledge, the right guard, and Penei Sewell. I mean, Ratledge and Penei Sewell, could you imagine that right away? It's going to be hard pressed to get to Jared Goff from the right side.
Did you see we posted today, and actually Tate actually retweeted it. Did you see Tate Ratledge's highlight in high school? He was a punter.
Exactly. I
He
did
was
see
out
it
there punting.
from the great social media account of Crunch Time Sports. I absolutely saw that. I think it's great. Listen, these guys are athletic. I mean, to play offensive line, you got to be smart. You got to be athletic. You got to be able to do a lot of different things. That was quite the visual. Maybe on the side after the first couple of days of camp, I'm going to walk up to him and look way up and be like, hey, you going to throw some punts out there for us?
We need to see him back Jack Box up.
I might have to find some way to reference the fact that he wears number 69 in a creative way that you guys wouldn't think is what I'm thinking about.
Hey, Doc, it would be so funny if you guys did a special teams depth chart and for your backup punter, you put Tate Ratledge in it. That would be elite.
Right. Here's the crazy part. We don't have to do a depth chart. There's only 3 guys on special teams. There's only really the at least in the kicker department, you know what I mean? There's a lot of gunners and all that kind of stuff, but there's just Hogan Hatton.
You should do it, Doc. You should do a full 11-man special teams.
Yeah. Jake Bates and Tate Ratledge. That'd be funny, right?
That'd be awesome.
And Doc, I don't think, because I think it came out after the last time we talked, but Malcolm Rodriguez said he most likely won't be back till November. And we knew he was going to be out for a little while coming after off that knee injury. But what do you think the impact of him not being out there for that length of the season will be once you look at there's going to be injuries to this defense, probably in the linebacker room as well. Malcolm's a guy that you can go out there and you can just depend on, know that he'll make the plays. Given the fact he won't be out there for a good chunk of the season, what do you think that impact will be?
Yeah, not having Malcolm till November.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Zach Cunningham brings to the table. I do think he's a guy that has a chance to compete and do some things. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you have him. It stinks too, right? That ACL injury, and maybe we'll talk about what happened to Jackson Jobe as well. But man, November, it's a little jarring because you know the timeline, like you know how long an ACL injury takes. It's just into November. It's tough because Rodrigo is kind of like an emotional leader. Like he's a gritty guy, a guy that people can easily gravitate towards. And I think he was ascending. Like he was a guy, the way in which Kelvin Shepherd would talk about him was, and you guys remember a lot of time that he would praise Malcolm and say, hey, this is a rookie. This is a guy that can do some things. And hey, if he makes the plays, he makes the plays. And Kelvin Shepherd said that, I think it was one of my questions or somebody else last year. He indicated that it's just been hard to take Malcolm Rodriguez off the field. He does what is needed. And in the times I've talked to him, I did write about his struggles and working his way up the depth chart. You got to also remember, too, what I like about Malcolm is his role was changed. He was a guy that initially had playing time, and then they took it away, put him more on special teams, but he kept fighting. He didn't complain, put his nose to the grindstone. It is like a little bit of a demotion. It's a public demotion when you're a starting linebacker, you have the capabilities of being a guy to play some defensive snaps, and then your role kind of diminishes as you bring in different talent and you're not playing as much. But I talked to him and he's like, look, I'm just here to help the team win, nose to the grindstone. When it's my turn to get called up, I get the opportunity to make plays. And you like a guy that's a team guy, and he's willing to do special teams to showcase to the coaching staff, hey, I can go out there and make plays, be a guy that will go in and battle and grind and play special teams. But when he had an opportunity, he's like, Kelvin Shepherd openly said to us, he said, that guy deserved to be on the field. He earned his time, and hopefully he comes back healthier. You probably won't get the full range of what he can bring to the table in 2025, but in 2026, hopefully you get a healthy and a guy that can be a sure tackler, an aggressive, physical linebacker that can be another emotional leader as well.
Hey, is there any concern, Doc, with Amon-Ra? I know he had, and no one really knew this until OTAs, and you guys spoke with him last week. But he had a surgery this offseason, and he did say there's no worries. Is that something that usually happens where a player like at that caliber gets a surgery and no one hears about it? That felt kind of odd that it was just like out of nowhere came up. Yeah, hey, I got surgery on my knee this offseason.
Booner, I like that. The second time I heard that today. My co-host on Doc and Jock said the same thing. He's like, you didn't know? I said, look, here's what happens. It's a medical procedure. It's something he wanted to keep under wraps. If you want to keep it under wraps, you go in and you have a cleanup procedure, and you end up talking about it when you got to remember, we have, since the end of the year, there was a draft. I think we've been out there 3 times, and it's only for an hour and a half out there. So, and remember, the biggest factor is all the workouts were voluntary. He's not coming to rookie minicamp. He's not a rookie. And the first OTA, he wasn't there. And then the second one, it was mentioned that he brought it up himself. Am I surprised? No, because of the fact that look at the position that he plays and look at his size and stature. And I don't want to use this word as a derogatory word, but when people say that Amon-Ra is a slot merchant, it doesn't really mean that he can only play the slot. You can put him at X, Y, Z, any position, and he can play it. But the depth of target of each of his catches is around 5 to 6 yards. And so what that means is there's always going to be someone around him, hitting him, tackling him, being around him. And he's not the biggest guy. He's muscular. He's very strong, but he's not the biggest guy compared to these cornerbacks and linebackers that are going to tackle him every single time. And so at the end of the year, a lot of players, Jack had a hip surgery. Let's call it a procedure. He had a procedure. He's ready to go. He'll be ready to go at training camp. And guys, this is a physical sport. And when you're training that hard and you're getting tackled that hard, you're going to have some nicks and bruises. And a lot of players get these cleanup procedures to kind of ensure that the next year they stay healthy. Now, it's a big deal every time you go under and have some minor scopes and stuff like that. But it happens regularly to these players and at his position. But yeah, you got to pay attention to it now this year in terms of how much practice time he gets. Does it wear and tear on his career later on down the road? But he said, I'm ready to go. And he's always been forthright and honest. I'm not surprised. A lot of guys at certain points have the ability to keep things secret that they need to. And I don't think people were digging too much for the health of Amon-Ra St. Brown. They just thought that, he was having a good offseason, but when he didn't show up, then the question marks arise. And so a lot of guys, it's a very common procedure to get scoped on your knees and minor procedures here and there. So I don't have any concern at the present juncture. I think he's great. But yeah, my co-host said the same thing. And it's a great question to ask. When you're paying someone $30 million, hey, he had surgery. Doc will monitor it at training camp and report back.
Thanks, Doc.
And you brought it up, Doc. Jackson Jobe, Tommy John, tough loss. What does this mean, do you think, for the Tigers and just your overall reaction? Break it down. What was your first reaction to hearing that he's going to be out for a long, long time?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. You look at it and you go, man, I was just at 12:45 p.m. this afternoon. I was having a good time celebrating, and we were debating, me and Adam were debating, are the Tigers or Lions closest to winning a championship? We were talking about adding talent to that roster. Like, you just came off of a Cubs series where you dominated an NL leader. You were playing great. Everything was coming up roses. And unfortunately, Jackson Jobe, it's just a tough position, man. It's that's why drafting young pitchers, it's always a risk. It's always a risk. Am I even surprised? No. These young arms throwing the way that they do, it's almost a given. It's not even when. It's not even, it's just when is it going to happen? These guys, it's the natural pitching motion is not that for an arm to be able to do that. And so I'm never terribly surprised anymore when a player needs it. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's just the way it is for these pitchers. It's part of the gig. Casey Mize shows that you can come back. Others have showed it. Michael Fulmer was a guy that went through it as well. And you just have to hope everybody comes back different. But by and large, the guy that you can count on to say, hey, look at the hallmark of what the blessing can be is Tariq Skubal. He had it too. So it's unfortunate. I do think that, and I have a nephew who plays, and whenever he pitches, I'm like, don't you dare in my presence throw a curveball. You throw a curveball, you start torquing your arm like that, I'm going to walk out to the mound and rip you off the mound myself. I don't care if your coach tells you to throw 15 curveballs. You just throw nice, smooth 70-mile-an-hour fastballs and don't pitch. You're a hitter. I don't like that for your arm. I don't like that. I don't like, and something that's been heavily looked at is that young pitchers are asked to do a bunch more, and parents are exposing their kids to travel baseball, and they think that they got to start throwing curveballs. It should be outlawed. It should be, players and their arms should be protected at the highest degree. I think the pitching motion is unnatural. It's being taught wrong. And when it's an epidemic like this, where so many pitchers have to have it, I do think that the way it's being taught is just unfortunate. And it's unfortunate for Jackson Jobe. He's a player that we counted on, young player. But look, here's what you got to hope for on the roster. No pity party. You get well, get healthy, Jackson, and get after it. He'll come back stronger in 2027 and get after it. But you need Reese Olson back, and you need to call.
Big time.
Call around, get some starting pitching out here and add. Our theory was We all heard the Scott Harris interview. Greenberg also, I think, talked on Sirius XM radio. This team needs to add. Show us that you're as passionate as we are about bringing a championship. Not, I didn't like the talk from Harris of we need to monitor the culture of the locker room. Listen, if they can throw 95 miles an hour and locate their pitches, and they're a guy that's on a last year of a deal or a player that is in a contract situation or is not expecting to be on a good team, you go out there and you get them. You get 2-3 players, and don't be conservative, because guess what? We also had this conversation, and I know people talk about it, and here's my stance, all right? And I'll say it officially, because in the end, it's going to affect me, all right? It's going to affect Booner, Hefe, Lukas, if you want to go down to Comerica Park. If you pay Tariq Skubal $400 million, that means the $80 ticket becomes a $110 ticket. I think you got 2 years under control with Skubal. You go and you push now. And I don't want to pay $400 million because he's going to be 30 years old, and I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near $200 million of value. You could get 2 good years out of him, which is what, 80 million of 400 million? Guys, think about it. 10 years, 400 million. He's asking for the world, and he deserves it. Someone might pay it. It's not a referendum on Scott, on Chris Ilitch. It's $400 million.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money that is going to be fed to the fans. You want to pay it? I get it. He's a great pitcher. He's a guy that is the ace. He's box office. He guarantees you wins. But if you count on your development of pitchers, you go out there and you keep getting more and more arms, and you hope that you land the next Tariq Skubal, and you find a way. If it doesn't work out this year, if you push this year, win the World Series, and that would solve a lot of problems. But if you can't make the deal by next year, then at the trade deadline, you find 6-7 players, and you hope that he's still a Cy Young candidate, and you find hopefully 2 good players out of there that will lead your team for the future. I just think it's a lot of money, $400 million. I just don't see. I see the risk being greater than the reward. He's a great player. Does he deserve it? Yes. Are there super risks that it looks like what happened to Miguel Cabrera in year 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah. So I look at it definitively. I don't want to end up paying double in terms of ticket prices for this great fan base. Hopefully this is the year that they realize, okay, we got something. There's something special here. Add another bat, a third baseman, a defensive infielder, a rotational guy, maybe 2 pitchers. You just push it. And I like the fact that they said that no player in the minors is untouchable. Go out there and give these next 2 years should be the push years. And hopefully, and remember too, guys, you're not desperate. You have Skubal under control for 2 years. So you don't have to force the deal. And hopefully he's workable. And maybe if he wants to take big dollars, he just is like, okay, no problem. We'll pay you 3 years, 180. Just $400 million is out of the realm of possibility, especially if he wants 6, 7, 8 years for it.
Yeah, Doug, I mean, I kind of disagree. I would pay Skubal. Personally, I would. I do want to throw out there too. I do have another question, but I would throw out there as well for people thinking like long term for the Tommy John situation. A lot like Skubal had it back in 2016. Ohtani's had it twice now. I know he's not pitching right now, but he's going to be pitching, it sounds like, after the All-Star break. So guys get it, come back. Obviously, it could affect some guys, doesn't for some. So I do think I'm a little confident in Jackson Jobe coming back, not this year, but in the future, and helping this team out. I'm sorry, Doug. I want to just go back to Lions real quick because I had one last question for you, if that's okay. Is that good?
Yeah. Anytime you want. I got nothing I block out the time for you guys. You can talk about anything.
All right. So we had an argument this week in a conversation. It was who was under the most pressure, and you might have had this conversation at some point this week. It's been going around Twitter. For the Detroit Lions, though, who do you think going into this season in 2025 is under the most pressure? Coaches, players, whoever it is. Who would you put in that category at the top of that list?
Yeah, it's a tie, probably, in my opinion. It's 2 guys. It's I think the most pressure is on John Morton. Many people think that this is Ben Johnson's creation. Many people think that John Morton is a guy that was just the guy that got fired from the Jets. He's the guy that's been given the keys to the Ferrari, and he's got all the tools. So he's got to showcase. He's got to develop Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. So the pressure's on him, because if there's a dip in production, all eyes are going to be on him. But there's also pressure on Jared Goff. He's going to be given more responsibility. The lasting memory that fans have that watch football, is there any more Jared Goff chance? I think that kind of eroded pretty fast. you look at it and you say, this guy's going to be given more responsibility for this offense. And now too, you have to look at it personally. He's now going to have a family, so he's going to have some outside responsibilities as well. I don't think that's going to impact him as a football player, but when you have a family, your priorities change. It just naturally does. Before, he could be all in football. Now he's going to have a thought about his young little one at home and his family. It's just naturally going to change who you are. But Jared Goff has a big year ahead because he kind of let the cat out of the bag. He has the potential to have really bad football games, and it's predicated on the fact that he's not the most mobile quarterback. Yeah, he can handle it. He has great numbers against blitzes, but his quarterback rating tends to dip, and his depth of passes gets impacted when there's pressure, as would any quarterback. And now you have an influx of the offensive line. You can think that they're going to gel. You can hope, and the odds are that they will. But if it doesn't, then that is a potential at any time that Jared Goff could go off and go off the mark. Remember, when he went south with the Rams, it happened fast, and you saw it with the turnovers. So the first sign is interceptions and fumbles and getting loose with the football. If that starts to uptick, that's going to be a big problem for this football team because the margin for error is going to be so much less playing against good opponents. And so I'll ask you guys this, because we did write about it as well.
All right.
You can get right now, you can get plus 200,
No,
100 to win 3 to bet right now today that the Lions won't make the playoffs. Would you take it? Would you do it?
No, we talked about this actually. I pulled your article up today at 8:15. I said you might as well at that point. You have better value at getting the Lions to win the NFC North at plus 120 because that there's a better chance of that happening than them not making the playoffs. I don't see a world they don't make the playoffs, even if they struggle. Dan Campbell almost took that year 2 team to the playoffs. They were, they beat the Packers and they needed the Seahawks to lose. And that was a team that wasn't even close to as built as it is today. It's a night and day difference. To me, this team's 100 times better. The playoffs is no question.
It's not even close.
That guy was a bum. Whoever, I don't know that guy is the NBC Sports guy. He's a bum. Derek, was it? Drew. Yeah, he's on my list with Pete or not. Pete Prisco. It's Pete Prisco and Drew.
Okay, it's interesting because the bettors are talking. They viewed that as the bet of the week. I agree. I think
we let the national media being against the Lions, Doc. The Lions perform best when the national media is against them.
Sure. No, I love it. I think that's also a great motivation too. That people think that this was all a Ben Johnson creation, but it's very interesting that he said that. It's too because it is the narrative of Ben left and they got new coaches and stuff like that. But they discount I never was a guy that valued the coaches as much as the talent on the roster. You recognize that, hey, if you got good talent, you can work a lot of good schemes out of it. And I feel like Dan Campbell has his fingers on the pulse of what he needs. He wouldn't hire the coach. I like this coaching staff quite a bit to get a lot out of it. So I'm very curious to see how the team starts out the first half of the season, and we'll see. But I wouldn't make that bet. I would not at all. But it was very interesting to see the guy speak into the microphone and speak his piece. It was very interesting to talk about.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.